Hi Taurus, welcome to your August 2020 love reading. It's Raina here. This deck that I'm using for this particular reading is the Ethereal Tarot deck. I always want to call it something else. This is the back of the card that I always show because the backs of the cards can sometimes be very beautiful as well. And this is a tarot spread that I designed yesterday when I started to do these readings. And designed is an exaggeration. I just came up with it right away. It didn't take a long time thinking about it. So it's funny, the first card I got was reversed, and then I get the hangman in the upright position, which is not usual for me. Wow, I can't believe it. You have 5 cards and 4 of them are major arcana cards. That is amazing. And I was going to say that I intend these readings for the sun signs, so Sun in Taurus, but I have Taurus rising, and I was thinking, oh man, I want to claim these cards. So anyway, and this is actually good too. This is an example. I wasn't even paying attention to what card I picked as the situation at hand, but the 5 of Pentacles is actually more positive in the reverse position. I'll just hold it upright so you can see what it looks like. The 5 of Pentacles is a card of lack consciousness, scarcity consciousness that is talked about in Law of Attraction, things like that. And of course, we're not doing a general reading. This is a love reading. So how I read that card for this type of reading is this kind of idea where a person is afraid to be alone, maybe, because they feel that it says something about them, that they're undesirable, that they can't keep a man, and those kinds of things. And the reversed position is letting go of that scarcity consciousness, because that's kind of like a grasping thing. Well, I might as well. This person is showing an interest, so even though I'm not attracted to him or her, I might as well go for it, because who knows, maybe I'll never get another offer again. And I mean, to me at this point in my life, that thought is inconceivable, because even though I'm in a relationship, I know full and well that being in a relationship is only as good as the relationship itself. And so if you're currently in a relationship with someone and it's not going well, and you've tried to make it work, but you're still afraid of leaving because you're afraid then you'll be alone, the key isn't to just stay in that unpleasant, maybe even downright toxic relationship. It's finding a way to be comfortable with the idea of being alone. Not waiting to have somebody ready to go so that when you leave, you go right into another relationship. So this is something that you have worked out within yourself. If you're in a relationship, if you're single, it can be a more relaxed attitude towards love. Even if we look at it for what it represents, you may be going back to work, you have more things to keep you occupied, and you don't have that sense of needing to fill the void with something. The card that has led up to this revelation, or this, this attitude, the Hangman, and this time I got it in the right right side up, because usually it's like this, and it looks right to have it like this, but because it's he's hanging upside down. So the the hangman is connected to the idea of being in a state of suspension. Sometimes this is because you don't feel like there's anything you can do at the moment. It's out of your hands. You have to surrender. It's like surrendering to a situation. I think this is probably the best way of putting it. Sometimes another person is doing this to you, and I say that loosely because you could always decide that you're not going to allow them to do it, but you feel that somebody else has put you in a position where you're waiting for them to get divorced, waiting for them to quit a job that consumes their life. Whatever it is that you feel like you're hanging on, that can also feel like your life is coming to a grinding halt. So those kinds of experiences can be quite frustrating, and a person can be left feeling that they don't have power, that the power is in somebody else's hands, and they're just kind of like this, how would I put it? I don't want to say slave to somebody, but you know what I mean, where they are forced to deal with somebody else's choices in life. And you have maybe realized this and put a stop to it, and realized, why you allowed yourself to be there. And again, it's probably because you felt like there would be nothing better. If you're single, it might just be that you've surrendered to being single, and that actually, ironically, could be the way that you find the person of your dreams, because when you let go of that resistance to needing that relationship, that's when it seems like these things happen. I use the analogy of a woman trying to get pregnant, and she adopts, and that releases the resistance because she wants to be a mother. And once she is able to fulfill that role, when the child is not biologically hers, that just adds to it. But I mean, just in general, then it's like she relaxes, and then she's able to actually conceive herself. And then, if that was something she wanted to experience, she gets to experience that as well. So letting go of resistance, stepping into your own power, not feeling like you're jerked around by somebody else, or just, surrendering to whatever it is. It is what it is, and accepting that. Not needing it to be something other than what it is. How you can, this is kind of an advice card, what you can do to get what you want from life. Now, in this case, we're talking about love. The Empress. Oh, interesting, because this is a card connected to you. This is a card connected to Venus, Taurus. So, the Empress is the Earth Mother archetype. It's the artist, the creative force. And how I view this card in terms of like what you can do, on your end, I would say first and foremost, be love. One of the things, I saw this title just, they keep recommending it to me, and it said, I have no friends, or something like that. And immediately I got this visceral reaction that was not really a good one, because I think a lot of times people who complain about things like that are people who are energy vampires. And I'm not saying anything about this, I haven't even watched the video, but in general, I feel like when a person is complaining about what they don't have, it's usually what they are not being themselves, and they're looking for somebody else to give it to them. And it's often said that you can't love anyone if you don't have that love within yourself. Yeah, I mean, you could say if you don't love yourself, but I mean also if you are an empty cup, it's hard for a person to fill it through another to and give it to another person because they're so busy trying to get it. The best way to attract love is to be loving. And that means that the person has to stop looking to receive. You know, I don't know, you know, I've said this before when someone said, oh, you know, I really want this person, I'm not sure, I really love this person, but I'm not sure that they love me. And what I said was, what's the problem? If you love somebody, there you go. You have your love. You don't need, when, you know, there's a saying, you know, they say love is patient, but there's another one like love asks of nothing or something along those lines. I don't know if that's Khalil Gibran or part of that poem about love. But the bottom line is that when someone says they love someone, a lot of times that's almost like a veiled demand that they want that person. So I love you, therefore you should love me. And that is like so misguided that people think like that, because that is not how it works. When you love someone, you love them. And that's the end of the story. And then there's no problem because you love them. But many times people want to be loved. So they want it to come back to them from that person. And if it doesn't, then there's a problem. But it's enough to love. It's enough to love somebody else. I say sometimes, I think it a lot of times, that love is overrated because love is a loaded word. And a lot of times what somebody is claiming as love really isn't. So if you are somebody who is single, or if you're in a marriage and you feel trapped and you feel like, I don't feel loved by this person. Now, I'm not talking about abusive, I'm not talking about serious situations, but if it's just something where you feel in the doldrums and you feel like this other person doesn't love you or doesn't say that they love you, you may be incompatible with that person and maybe you should leave. But sometimes it might simply be that you're looking for something that they can't give you, but it's not necessarily something that you need from another person. So it's, you know, I don't know if people are going to resonate with that. When I do these readings, it's not going to be like the typical love reading, as you can probably tell. Because I think that a lot of times relationships can be used, you know, for a person's own needs or power trips or what have you. And so love is something that we give of freely and we don't expect in return. I mean, that's the bottom line. And I really do believe it's just like generosity with, money. When you're doing something for somebody and there are no strings attached, absolutely none, that's kind of a pure act. Otherwise, it becomes something that is very, controlling behavior. And that's not something that you want to engage in, obviously. So I gotta remember, because now I'm getting into the point where I'm thinking, okay, oh yeah, this was the influences around you. The Magician, this could be like, if you've been studying anything Taurus that relates to law of attraction, that's what I connect with the Magician. It's also connected to the sign Aries, if that means anything to some of you. I'm trying to think of timing issues. We have Mars in Aries. That's the only transit that I can think of offhand, but that's actually your 12th house, so I don't know if that would have anything to do with a love relationship, unless you're having a secret affair with somebody, and that might be the 12th house. But with the Magician card, in this position, influencing your life, and if you haven't, you might have heard of law of attraction but never really used it. It's really not kind of hocus pocus. It really is pretty practical as far as I'm concerned, and it deals with being clear on what you want from a situation. So in this case, it would be your love life, and so being intentional, that means that you're not wasting time with people that you know are dead ends. Even if you're physically attracted to them and you say, hey, this could be fun, you know your nature, your basic nature as a Taurus, and you know that you tend to want relationships, not just, even though you're a very lusty sign, you tend to want relationships. And, sensuality is fine, but when it's in the context of a one-night stand or just kind of a friends with benefits situation, this is where your energy can get depleted very quickly, because I don't believe a lot of Taurus people go into that situation truly expecting it to stay that way. I think that they are hoping that it will lead to something more, and that's a huge mistake to make. You have to resist that temptation. And really when you do that, it's about, and I think again, Five of Pentacles in reverse goes along with that. When you resist temptation, you're not eliminating potential love partners. You're honoring yourself, because you're kind of cutting to the chase and knowing how this is going to end up. Yeah, I might have a little fun, but in the long run, I'm going to suffer from this, and I don't want to suffer. And you make that choice that you don't want to suffer. So the law of attraction, part of that is being able to discern, have the focus, and go after what you want. It's not about waiting around for things to change randomly. It's really about being intentional about what it is that you're looking for. And I got to plug in my cord here. Okay, hopefully this will work. There it goes. Okay, oops. It's a little bit tilted, but at least it's going to not go out on us. Yeah, so I think I said all I want to say. If you're interested in exploring this idea of love and the law of attraction, I actually wrote an ebook on it, and it's on my website, rainandmoonastrology.com. It's called Manifest Your Soulmate, A Guide to High Vibe Love, and it's like an instant download. My partner said to me, you should be, telling people about your book, because I don't really talk about it much. But this seemed like the perfect time when, after drawing that card. And, the thing that I think people get confused about is magic is not random, in my opinion. It's not just having luck. It's like being very intentional. And that's why I started embracing the idea of magic. Because I used to think of it as kind of a random thing. Oh, you're lucky. That's magical. And I realize now it's more than that. And I actually appreciate that. So just to kind of clarify. And the outcome is the High Priestess. You see the gilding of that card. It's very nice. The High Priestess is a card, it's number 2. It's associated with getting in touch with your higher self. And that is the part of yourself that is not embodied. You have your physical body, you have your soul encased in the body, But you have, I don't know, I have to admit, I don't know, they always talk about spirit, soul. So I don't know if the High Priestess is the spirit. I don't really know how that works, but I know that the High Priestess is the part of us that connects to our higher self. And that means, it's kind of interesting that I get the High Priestess and the Empress in the same reading, because the High Priestess is number 2 and the Empress is number 3. And it always works that way, where the higher vibration, which is not the earth vibration, is going to be where everything is really created. All the ideas that you have are formed, and then it manifests into the physical. So it makes sense that the High Priestess would come first in the deck, because she is that spiritual side that is connected to God at all times and can derive the wisdom that can guide your life. And that is important whether you're single or whether you're in a relationship, to know like what to do. You know, you've heard the term divine timing, when to leave a relationship, if to leave a relationship. If you're involved with somebody now, it doesn't mean that you should not be with them. It's just saying that you may have to fix the relationship. And it takes 2 to do that. If the other person doesn't want to participate, then you really have your answer. But with 4 out of 5 of these cards being major arcana cards, this kind of indicates some major developments in August for your relationships or potential relationships, Taurus. We shall see. Oh, you know, it's interesting. Well, you know, guess what? In August, I haven't done the astrology readings for August, but the sun goes into your 5th house. Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. And that's the house of falling in love, or love matters. So that makes perfect sense for somebody like you, that this would be a highlight of this particular month. So in any case, I hope that you enjoyed this, Taurus. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. Thanks for watching, and have a great August. Bye.